We're in the San Isidro Canyon and I'm doing a 5.9 grade difficulty climb, 100 feet up. This climb is called Peals of Laughter. I'm not laughing right now, but this is fun.
The things I do for James and his birds. I'm above him now on the rock and we're pretty high.
We are now actually 115 feet off the ground in San Isidro Canyon. And this is a perspective on San Isidro maybe 1 in 100 visitors here to San Isidro actually gets.
A lot of the early ornithologists, egg collectors and falconers were accomplished climbers. One of the only ways that they could get really good access to breeding falcons, hawks and other cliff nesting species was to climb there. Thankfully today we've got great advances in optics, telescopes and binoculars so that we can view the habits of nesting birds from a distance. We're about to go to the Channel Islands harbour to catch a boat to Santa Cruz Island to look for island scrub jays. Let's go birding.
Now is the time of your life. Oh, now is the time. It's a sweet ride to the end of the line. Now is the time. It's the right time to come alive. Now is the time of your life. Oh, now is the time of your life.
Smoking ponies, did you see that bird? And this is the perfect habitat for this bird. Yeah, that's what I call birding. Awesome, that's our golden bird. Welcome to the balmy weather of Southern California, the site for this week's search for our golden bird, the island scrub jay. Jays, like their close relatives, the crows and magpies, form part of a successful family of birds called the corvids. All corvids are super intelligent birds that show astounding ingenuity and adaptability, characteristics that have allowed this family of birds to colonize every major landmass besides the polar ice caps. The jays are especially well represented in North America, and amongst the 10 species found here are the familiar blue jay and the beautiful Steller's jay. If we delve even deeper into the jay family tree, we discover 3 separate species of scrub jays, each almost identical to the next, but with different habits and subtleties in habitat requirements. The Florida scrub jay is endemic to the state of Florida and inhabits elevated sandy oak scrub. Overall, it is lighter in color than its western counterparts, with a pale blue forehead. Like the island scrub jay, these birds are threatened and have an incredibly restricted range. Before heading out to Santa Cruz Island to look for the island scrub jay, we spent a bit of time on the mainland looking for its close relative, the western scrub jay. It was certainly not hard to find. Scrub jays were all over the place. The western scrub jay is by far the most numerous of the 3 species of scrub jay. The western scrub jay inhabits a variety of habitats, including riparian woodland, oaks, pinyon juniper and residential areas. It is a deeper, darker blue than the Florida scrub jay, with a more clearly defined breast band. These birds, like all scrub jays, are equally at home on the ground as they are on the trees, hopping along to gobble up anything in sight. The third scrub jay species, and our golden bird for this week, the island scrub jay, is the most range restricted of the 3 species and is found in oak chaparral and oak woodlands. It is larger than the western and Florida scrub jays and has the same deep color of the western scrub jay, but has a larger bill and darker, almost black cheeks. The island scrub jay is so threatened purely because it exists only in one place on Earth, Santa Cruz Island. On the way to the launch site, close to Ventura on the west coast of California, we decided to take a bit of a detour further north to go and look for an animal that was nearly hunted to extinction just a century ago. Sea otters, many years ago, numbered in the several hundred thousands, and during the early turn of the century, they were nearly exterminated. Their numbers dropped to as few as 1,000 to 2,000 individuals left on the planet. Today they've been saved by a remarkable conservation effort, and their numbers have increased significantly, and they now occupy about 2/3 of their former range. It's still listed as a federally endangered species though, and they're certainly not out of the woods yet. This is one of the best places to view sea otters in North America. Sea otters are the largest of the weasel family, and individuals can grow as large as 100 pounds. They've got incredibly dense fur, and it was for this reason that they were hunted nearly to the brink of extinction. They've got the densest fur of any mammal in the animal kingdom. Sea otters will feed on a variety of food. Shellfish and sea urchins are their favorites. Sea otters are really important for the kelp forest ecology because they control the numbers of sea urchins which feed on kelp forests. Mother sea otters are great mothers, very protective over their youngsters. And the youngsters will stay on their mother's stomach for many, many months until they grow to the age where they can look after themselves. They will learn from their mothers how to hunt. Mothers will show them how to dive right down to the floor of the ocean in these kelp forests to look for shellfish and other creatures. You can see what these sea otters are doing right now is it's fairly windy, and they are wrapping themselves in the kelp to stop themselves from drifting into the open ocean. Isn't it great that we can now enjoy great looks at sea otters, just like I'm doing right now along the central Californian coast. The place where we had excellent sightings of the sea otters is called Morro Bay, right up in central California on the coast. Morro Bay is a very important site for a whole host of migrating waterfowl, the most important of which is the black Brent goose. Up to 4,000 black Brent have been found to overwinter in Morro Bay every year. During the summer, they'll head up to the Arctic regions where they will breed, but here they specifically like Morro Bay because of the brackish water, and it has great quantities of eelgrass on which they love to feed. The black Brent is a medium-sized goose, and it's a subspecies of the Brant goose. And the black Brant is specifically identified by its entirely black belly. They've got a beautiful white crescent on their necks as well. Important wetlands along the California coast are sadly the exception rather than the rule. And we traveled not only to Morro Bay, but to some other smaller, very important estuarine systems, like the one at Zuma Beach. Over 80% of California's wetlands have been developed. So little areas of brackish water and estuaries like this one at Zuma Beach in Southern California are a premium habitat for shorebirds and for overwintering waterfowl. In this tiny little brackish water estuary right here, we've got Heermann's gulls, California gulls, marbled godwits, we've got black-bellied plovers, there's western sandpipers and willet, all occupying this tiny little important niche habitat on the coast of California.
Welcome aboard the Islander with Island Packers going to Santa Cruz Island. Let's go birding.
Let's go birding!
We are en route to Santa Cruz Island, and some things you'll want to know about our journey across the Santa Barbara Channel. First of all, we'll be traveling at high speeds, so you might want to make sure you tighten down your caps, button up your jacket, secure any loose articles that might blow away. We tend to lose a lot of hats from this boat. We only turn around for hats that are still being worn.
This week's birding adventure takes us right out to Santa Cruz Island, lying a mere 20 miles off the Californian coast. This is such an incredible trip. We're out with Island Packers, going out into the Pacific Ocean, and on the way we're looking for a huge diversity of marine life. Cetaceans, possibly grey whales, humpback whales, California sea lions, dolphins. There'll be a wealth of seabirds out here as well. This is going to be awesome. Let's go birding. We're coming up on some California sea lions. This is Xalophus californianus, and it basically means in Latin, Californian big head. And they get the name big head because the males have this protrudence of bone that grows after sexual maturity. And the males can get up to 600, 700 pounds in size. Ginormous. What we've got right here on this buoy is a nice male surrounded by 3 or 4 females resting in the afternoon sun in the channel on the way to the Channel Islands. Santa Cruz Island forms part of the Channel Islands, situated right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean gets its name from the Latin Mare Pacificum, meaning the peaceful sea. And we've got a perfect day out here. The sea is dead flat. It is absolutely beautiful out here. Incredible to think that the Pacific Ocean is the world's largest ocean, occupying 46% of the Earth's surface water. It is so huge, we could put every single piece of land inside the Pacific Ocean and add Africa once again. That is how vast this incredible ocean is. On my right-hand side is the mainland of California. On the left is Santa Cruz Island. And this channel will get up to 800, 900 feet deep. This variation of depth makes it one of the best places in the world to view cetaceans and marine mammals. There's basically a current that runs from the north to the south called the California Current, and a current that runs from the south to the north called the Davidsons Current. The Davidsons Current is a warm water current and the California Current is a cold water current. And these two currents basically smash together, smash into these islands, create these incredible upwellings which make for an incredible diversity of marine life. Phytoplankton, zooplankton, krill and baitfish, all of which is needed for these marine mammals to feast on. This channel is one of the best whale watching or cetacean watching destinations in the world. We've got a huge feeding frenzy going on ahead of us, birds diving in all different directions, big pot of sardines. There's common dolphins by the hundreds out here, and we've just spotted a pair of humpback whales. We've got 2 humpback whales. It looks like a mother and a calf. Humpbacks are one of the baleen species of whales. They've got huge baleen plates in their jaw structure. As they open those jaws, they will filter the water through that baleen, and that will withhold shrimp, krill and small fish. It looks as though this mother and calf are on their way towards this feeding flock of birds and this frenzy of baitfish. Normally these humpback whales will spend a few minutes at the surface catching their breath, and then they will dive for extended periods. This mother and calf are basically basking at the surface and affording us some amazing views. But these whales did more than provide us with great views. They led us to other breaching humpback whales and a marvel of nature that was simply awe-inspiring. I remember being totally gobsmacked looking at 10 miles of frothed up ocean in the distance. It looked as if a major windstorm was working up the sea in frenzied anger. It was only when we got closer that I realized we were witnessing the raw power of what's known as the megapod phenomenon. Woohoo! In this one megapod of dolphins, we've got at least 5,000 to 10,000 animals all in one pod, hunting the plethora of baitfish here in the open ocean. This is a phenomenon that you don't often get to witness anywhere in the world. We've arrived at Prisoners Harbour, the site of the island scrub jay. Prisoners Harbour gets its name from some Mexican prisoners, and legend has it that these Mexican prisoners slaughtered cattle and made rafts out of the skin or the hides of these cattle, and they tried to make their way to the mainland of California. The hides apparently attracted sharks, and these guys were never ever seen again. So this is how Prisoners Harbour gets its name, the home of a very special endemic island bird. The 22-mile-long Santa Cruz Island is just gorgeous. Crystal clear blue water, cliffs, grassland and kelp-lined bays. But we needed to head inland from Prisoners Harbour to seek out the oak chaparral habitat that island scrubjays like to frequent. We only had a limited time on the island, but our brisk walk from Prisoners Harbour revealed a pair of these magnificent birds. This is the habitat of the island scrubjay, oak chaparral. We've walked up a track from Prisoners Harbour and we've come across a pair of birds. They're starting to lay their eggs at this time of the year. It's March right now, and this pair is protecting its territory. Island scrubjays are somewhat different to their counterparts in Florida in their breeding habits. The Floridian parents are much more privileged than their western cousins because they breed cooperatively. The less dominant birds act as babysitters, food gatherers, and helpers for the wealthy parents. Island scrubjays are less fortunate. It's up to them and them alone to provide for their growing family. This adult came out from an oak tree to scold us for our rude intrusion into his territory. The second bird, quite possibly the female, remained more in the background, preferring to stay close to the tree that probably contained their precious nest. That's our golden bird, island scrubjay. Yeah! The difference in size between the island scrubjay and the two other species is very evident, as is the larger bill, and there may be a very valid reason for this. In 1964, a scientist called John Foster discovered that many smaller animals on islands tend to be larger than their closely related species on the nearby mainland. The reason for this is that smaller size usually makes it easier to escape or hide from predators. But on islands, predators are often lacking and food may be abundant, allowing for animals like these island scrubjays to grow larger. But these giants of the scrubjay world face many other threats to their survival. It was great to head out with the researchers on the island to listen to the life habits and the conservation stories of this threatened island bird.
Our research out here is important for understanding the island scrubjay's population biology. We're trying to determine the details about its nesting biology, about its territorial behavior, about its density. We're trying to understand how many broods they'll have a year, what they'll do after their nest is depredated. So we're doing an intensive study, finding nests, catching adults, putting color bands on them, monitoring nestling growth rates, looking at their food availability, basically trying to understand the breeding season dynamics of this bird. Well, the conservation issues facing the island scrubjays, first off, they're very range restricted. They're the only island endemic bird species in North America. They probably have the smallest range of any North American bird. They're only here on Santa Cruz Island. So the fundamental issue facing them is that this is their only home. So learning how to take care of this island and understanding their habitat requirements are quite important. And because they're only found on this island, events that could dramatically affect the island could also have a big effect on the bird, such as a catastrophic fire. We worry about disease such as West Nile virus. So we're just trying to get a handle on all the factors that drive their populations and also understanding the risk factors that they face. I think right now the outlook is good. The island is recovering dramatically from over 40,000 sheep that were out here, over 5,000 pigs. Those non-native feral animals are now gone, so the island is regenerating. I feel optimistic about the island scrubjay right now.
What a fantastic experience. I've flown over from Florida, and in the space of 2 days, I've managed to see Florida scrubjays, western scrubjays on the mainland, and now the most remote of all the scrubjay species, the island scrubjay. Yeah!
Station floor, heading back to a place you've never been.